National Black Justice Coalition. And David, has the black community changed on issues affecting the LGBT community, or is it just a topic that they no longer talk about?
As you know, Dale, as long as there have been Black people, we have been incredibly diverse. And the answer to that question depends on who you ask. I think with the more recent cultural contributions of things like Pose or the series Legendary, which built on things that existed before that, offerings by Patrick Ian Polk, the film Moonlight, that there are more opportunities for people who don't have intimate relationships with Black LGBTQIA plus people or LGBTQIA plus people more generally to have conversations, to ask questions, to increase competence and compassion, to do what I saw you doing with my brother Alfonso David and ask questions about pronouns. But there's still a lot more work to be done, to be sure.
You know, a dear friend of my wife is the late author Elin Harris, and we had conversations about this at length at night. Describe the combined effect of being gay and black.
It is incredibly difficult, but I turn to the tools provided by Black feminists and intersectionality. Patricia Hill Collins talks a lot about the compounded challenges facing different obstacles and pressures as a result of racialized stigma, as well as stigma as a result of your sexual identity and gender orientation or expression. And the one word that comes to mind in this moment is unrelenting. Those of us who have skin that's been kissed by the sun know the challenges of showing up in the world simply trying to take up space as a Black person. Those the members of our community, as you mentioned, your wife, who understand what it means to be Black and a woman, know that those challenges are compounded. And when you add to that what it means to be Black and a woman and or queer and or have a disability, for many it can be unrelenting. We should all acknowledge that before the novel coronavirus, the suicide rates for Black youth in our country have doubled. And that's an anomaly given that they've decreased for every other community of children based on race or ethnicity. And that is to say that we should be mindful of the challenges that all of us face, and especially mindful of the challenges that those of us with intersectional identities face.
David, I asked Alfonso this question in our last segment about coming from Capitol Hill, where you have so many people, 70s and 80s and even 80 plus. President Biden has been outspoken on issues affecting the LGBTQ plus community, but he's a 78 or 79-year-old white guy. Did you think your champion would look like him? And why do you think that is? Why does he get it?
When you asked the question previously, what I thought about was celebrating my grandfather, Reverend James Lemuel, a Black Baptist preacher who in Austin, Texas, did not grow up with the language that I have access to or the theoretical constructs that I am aware of. And he learned how to adopt new language. He referred to me as a same gender loving man, acknowledging that gay is a white male political identifier. And that too often when people think about the term gay, they think about deviance, they think about sex. Seldom do they think about whether or not I am loved. And knowing that he, in his old age before he passed, God rest his soul, was able to do that work, I know that it is possible. And I am heartened by the efforts that this administration has exhibited heretofore and will continue to work with other colleagues to hold them accountable for doing more to ensure that every member of our beautifully diverse community can enjoy the privileges that so many other people in this country, in particular white, cis, heterosexual, able bodied men, take for granted.
David, Joe Biden once said that marriage was between a man and a woman. I believe Barack Obama actually said words similar to that. There is a generational divide on this issue. As an African American male, we are just now starting to have honest conversations on a network like this about what it is to be Black in America. When do we get to the point where we can actually have honest conversations outside and inside of the Black community about what it's like to be Black and gay in America?
Hopefully yesterday. What I honor is that there's an author, Sambufu Some, who talks about in the village where her family is from in East Africa, although the words lesbian and gay didn't exist, they acknowledged that there were members of our community who were gatekeepers. And I'm often frustrated by the suggestion that to be queer and to be Black is a manifestation of white supremacy. What we know is that white supremacy manifests in homophobia. the weaponization of one's identity, whether that's based on race or sexual identity, gender orientation or expression, disability, religion, language, or any of the other things that make us different in ways that don't infer deficit, but are too often weaponized by those in political positions of power. And so, all of this to say that we have the ability, we have the resources. I again referenced previously Black feminists who have talked to us about the matrix of domination, the signs, systems, and symbols that allow all of these things to be omnipresent. And the question is, when will we apply them? When will those of us who purport to care about Black lives understand and operate in ways that suggest that you can't just care about some of us some of the time, you have to care about all of us all of the time? That's the way in which we all actually get free.
David, a question before you go, and that is that if this dialogue is to continue, or in some families, if it is to begin, what is the easiest way for someone who is older, who has never ever had this conversation before, to approach somebody and say, I don't understand, please make me understand, or help me understand?
Say exactly that. I want to first say that it is often not easy, and we should embrace the discomfort that comes with learning. I taught kindergarten, third grade, and I now teach college, and I understand and embrace that the Latin root of the word education is educare. It means to draw out. The process of learning new things can be difficult, and it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. And so I would suggest doing exactly what you said, which is to ask, how do I refer to you? Can you help me appreciate things about your experience that I don't understand? And the reality is that all of us can do this about anything. I often talk about this when people ask for a coming out story. And what I say is, I would be okay with coming out if everybody had to do it,
Yeah.
but everybody doesn't. There's this expectation that I'm going to recite this often tragic story about
And
my identity. And too many of us
yeah,
have things that we're
I'm
told to feel shame about. So just ask the question.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it at that because we're up against the clock. But I want to thank you personally for being with us today. By the way, that's David Johns. He is the Executive Director of the National Black Justice Coalition. David, thanks for being with us.